I wanted to jump on and have a little bit of a rant because I see, at least my interpretation, is that people like to just like the culture seems to have gone in this direction of endless trauma processing. Um, and I think I need to speak about it. I feel like speaking about it, right? Like endless breathwork sessions and um, sound therapy and uh, what else we got? Like, like screaming and whatever and different like confronting stuff and therapy, talk therapy and different ways of processing their trauma, somatic inquiry. Now, I've done a bunch of that. I've done all this stuff, by the way, all of it, a lot, quite a bit of it. So I know the cultures that revolve around this stuff, and uh, it's kind of trendy. It's kind of trendy processing my shadow, right? It's like a thing now, and it's like never ending. It's never ending. Have you noticed? Have you noticed that it's never ending? And my purpose for ranting about this, my purpose for critiquing it is not just to be obnoxious and defiant and rebellious and alternative and what's the word? Yeah, whatever. Like, it's not just for the sake of it. It's to help support you in your transformation, to help make a difference in your life, to actually make an actual difference in your life. Because I see people that are kind of trapped here, as I have been. And so I think the best way to approach this is like when we talk about like trauma and processing trauma, like, this all comes from Freud, okay? This all comes from Freud. And Freud had a direct insight, a direct experience, a direct consciousness. I believe he was like walking past a train station and he kept having this feeling of anxiety around a train station, and he looked into it. He looked into the matter like, what is this about? And he looked into it and he stayed with it until he got what was happening. And it was something to do with his childhood. He had a traumatic experience by this particular train station in wherever he was, Austria or Germany or Switzerland, wasn't it? Anyway, I don't remember. So anyway, he got it. He was like, "Oh, I got it. I had this experience, and now I made an association with this thing, and it brings this thing up for me." He got conscious and he got free of it, right? And out of the freedom that he experienced from that, he created psychology as a useful tool for other people to get free, right? And he said, don't let the doctors get hold of it because they'll ruin it. And what have we got? What have we got? We've got the leftovers. We've got like the very poor representation of what he was trying to do. He was trying to get you free. And it was supposed to be a quick thing. Get conscious, get free, right? Not years and years and years of therapy and talking and blah, blah, blah. And now that's turned into somatic stuff and everything like that. And I'm not saying there's anything, there's goodness in all of this stuff. But what happens is we get hold of it and it gets diluted, it gets skewed, it turns into like a cultural thing, and we're like a community thing, and it becomes much more about maintaining a community and businesses than it does about getting people free. Because if people get free, it's like the difference between a one-off payment and a subscription, right? So so with that background, okay, I want to help you to relate to this stuff in a more effective way. My invitation would be, you are much better off setting yourself a goal, okay, and going for it, right? Going for it, and you will come across your demons. You will come across your traumas. I imagine Freud was quite ambitious, and he probably had a goal. This thing kept coming up, and he was like, "This is not helping," and he dealt with it because it was in the way of his goal, right? And that's kind of the spirit that I'm about, right? You could, like, so I think it was Jed McKenna that said, and this is a brilliant line, you know, for whatever you think about Jed, but this is a brilliant line. He's like, if you're in a dungeon, like if you're in a sewer, right, and there's a bunch of demons in there, you could fight all the demons, and even if you killed the infinite amount of demons there are down there, you're still in a fucking sewer. Why don't you just climb up out of the sewer into the light? Right? And the way I'm hearing that is like, set yourself a goal that's beyond you, right? That's greater than you, and go for it. And deal with whatever comes up in that context. You know, it seems like, I'm guilty of this. I was like, I have to heal myself endlessly. And then one day I'll blossom and I'll emerge and I'll be free, and then I'll be creative, and then I'll teach, and then, you know, whatever. And it's like, no, I gotta just go for it. Like, it's so when you're in this sort of like trauma healing world, it just becomes so self-referential, and it's never ending. There's so much to heal. There is no end to it. You could do it forever. Set yourself a goal, different context. Now you got to fight only the demons that stand in the way of that goal. You might then want to set another goal, and there might be some more. But look at the difference. Look what's going on in your life. You're actually moving forward. Yeah, you're actually moving forward towards something that's, I would invite you to make that thing empowering to the creative, to the collective, right? Something in service, yeah? Something to make the world a better place. Whether that's a product or a service of some kind, something to improve the experience of humanity. And so, you know, just to ground this whole thing in my experience, in my life, I have this thing going on where I think it's like, I think I'm supposed to be a teacher. Like, I just have this sort of voice in my head that wants to teach. But I've also got an impatience with where people are at collectively, like humanity. I'm like, you guys are fucking still stuck in this psychological paradigm, essentially, like this hangover of Freud. You're stuck in this conceptual, like, I need to understand my problems, and then, that makes sense. It's like, yeah, but did it get you free? Right? It didn't get you free. I do this because of that. When I was a child, I had this experience, and therefore I'm like this now. Okay, why don't you get free of that? You know, right? That would be my invitation. But you see, that's the attitude I take when having these interactions, and that's not very effective as a teacher, you see. So now that's standing in the way of me actually reaching my goal of being a teacher. So I get to deal with that particular demon, shall we say, in my sewer that's between me and the manhole, right? It's like a very specific demon. It's not just endlessly processing random trauma through hyperventilating in a group setting. It's like forever. It's like every week I'm gonna hyperventilate in a room full of, you know, random people, because that's what people do. Okay, all right, nothing wrong with that. I think people are doing good work out there. I'm not criticizing anyone, but devoid of this goal, devoid of actually having something outside of you greater than you that you're in service of, you will just, you'll be putting out fires till the end of time. So there we go. There's my rant. I hope it serves. I hope it serves you, and I hope that it makes a difference in your life. I hope that you can understand where I'm coming from and what I'm trying to communicate with you. It just recontextualizes the whole relationship to trauma release and breath work and somatic inquiry and talk therapy and ayahuasca and all of that stuff, all of it. Fine, do it all, try it all, but have something, give it a context other than I need to fix myself. Because if you need to fix yourself, you believe something's broken. And if you believe something's broken, no amount of fixing is going to fix that, because it's a belief. Change that belief. Recognize that you're already complete and take a step forward towards something beneficial to humanity. It makes such a difference. And I hope that you hear it in that spirit. Thank you for listening.